I realize why I come in here and rant sometimes and start preaching. I look at all this news, and it's so insane, and it's so scientifically being deployed on record that if people would just wake up and see it, it would all be over. But people have been eased in from birth into the lie, into the fraud, and it's basically all they know now. A major feminist group, which is actually anti-feminine, what they've done to women, done to men, done to the human species, have come out and said they want to ban the word bossy because it's associated with women henpecking. Well, women are supposed to be bossy with their children. They're not supposed to be bossy with their men, and they're never happy when they are bossy. But men are supposed to act like men as well, so I don't blame women. But feminist control freaks want to ban the word bossy, campaign backed by banks, oil companies, and transnational corporations. Yeah, the World Bank is sponsoring South by Southwest, one of the main sponsors, and they are sponsoring Bloomberg and a move to ban our guns. That piece of filth came here, and that's why we're going to have a open carry armed march. There's an article up on Infowars.com, in fact, that I want to get Kit Daniels to repost. Jakari Jackson did a video report on that. We're going to be airing coming up here in a little while. And so there's going to be an armed march, open carry, at the giant media conference that literally is a giant fraud with a bunch of ne'er-do-well, well-meaning zombies wandering around buying $1,000, $1,200 passes to line up and not even get into most of the events, and then have corporations try to sell them things. It literally is the emperor's new clothes. It literally is a giant hoax run by anti-free speech, anti-gun, anti-family slobs who literally are enemies of everything good. I mean, it's just these people make me want to vomit. Anyways, excuse me. And because yesterday I was thinking about doing a big report on it, and we were in the meeting for like an hour looking at the South by Southwest website, and everything was anti-human, everything was anti-family, everything was to feminize men, everything was how to be face scanned and have no privacy and how great it is, while they have Snowden on talking about how the NSA spying on us. Great for Snowden, folks. I'm not saying I, but it's a fact. We had all the NSA whistleblowers on, James Bamford, so many others, just so many, it's hard to even bring them all up in my mind. This is all on record. It's like Snowden said the sun came up this morning. Wayne Madsen, he was in security at the NSA, over spying on people at the NSA to make sure they weren't spying on the government. And, I mean, he wasn't a contractor with the NSA, folks. He was there and testified to Congress and the EU and broke basically most of what we know about the NSA. We all knew they were spying illegally. We all knew they were targeting other politicians. We knew they were spying on the media. I mean, what? Look at Google. Look at Facebook. Look at Twitter. Look at Microsoft. The whole platforms are built around spying on you. While you move the mouse over the cursor or while you're spelling, it tells you where you're going. It tells you what you're thinking. It tells you what you're doing. Amazon, 5 years ago, had nearly 100% accuracy rate. Now they have 100% accuracy rate off of your profile and where your cursor goes and what you linger on in real time. It's looking at you. Everything you do has your profile, and it knows where you're going and what you're doing, and it can then order it before you even order it and have it going into the shipping process to be delivered to you. And I told you that 5 years ago, and it finally was announced this year. Because it was already in MIT papers, it was already public. I told you the reason they went to the new type of light bulb is because they can send data over power line and flicker rate it to remote control the new computers that are coming out. That was finally in mainstream news again last week. They have mainstream dinosaur press every few months to a story saying Jones claims the light bulbs are controlling you. Well, they do also in the patents say the flicker rate has the added goodie of being able to mesmerize people. I mean, look at the public. Look at the IQ dropping. Look at people in a dreamlike state. The brain waves are lower. I mean, this is all fact, folks, just like the spider goats I told people about 18 years ago. And I was reading it out of a technology publication that somebody mailed me. before it was in CBS News, NBC News a few years before, and people said I was a liar. And I was on air with the Biotech Technology magazine, because I used to have listeners. They still do it. But back then it was precious because the web wasn't very big. They would send me publications. Hey, here's MIT publication. Hey, here's Stanford publication. Hey, here, it's a lot more serious. Hey, I'm an engineer at UT. Come on down. And I would be let in, you know, and they'd go, oh, you didn't see this, and punch a button, and it'd be hundreds of monkeys with wires in their brains with television sets brainwashing them. You know, I mean, I just don't even know what to tell people anymore. I mean, we're living in a positronic psych warfare hell grid. And they know that if we wake up to it, there it is, a new use for LEDs, mind control. Here, back it out. What's that from? Is that Wired? New York Times. Boom. When was that? 2011. See, print that, actually. Print that. But see, that's what I mean. I'm just trying to warn you, folks. The television is a giant LED weapon system. It's so advanced. They got a monkey farm in Bastrop, folks, that they do all sorts of testing on great apes, rhesus monkeys, the whole 9 yards. And I've seen it over closed circuit television. It was punched up in a DARPA facility. The labs are funded by DARPA. And let me tell you, they're training to fuck. Oh, God, I can't handle it. I almost started cussing, excuse me. I just, folks, it's getting to me. And I'm realizing that half measures are not going to defeat this operation. They have got thousands of monkeys at facilities all over the world. They have hundreds at this facility with wires in their brains in a 40-year program. It just keeps going with flicker rates to mind control them and to test them to then deploy the weapon system against you. Of course, governments were going to do this. Of course they would use it. Of course they would do it. Anything they can do, they're going to do it. They're putting hundreds of deadly chemicals in your water. They're putting hundreds of deadly chemicals in the food chain. They're putting all sorts of different wavelengths out, and DARPA is on record in the Baltimore Sun in 1999. I read this article on air probably 25 times. I couldn't believe it. A listener actually mailed me the Baltimore newspaper. I wish somebody would go to the microfilm and dig it up. And they said, it's true, DARPA's looking at fluxing the cell towers and doing tests to just relax the public during crises. And I was holding in my hand, because they do that as a test, DARPA in the Baltimore Sun talking about mind control towers. I mean, this is the stuff of schizophrenics. I just showed you the New York Times admitting LED lights, and but it's also not just the LED, it's the new curly Q ones. What do you call those? Yeah, fluorescent, I know, but they've got a certain name. The point is, those are the ones where they have the data over the power line, and then it can control devices in your house off its flicker rate, but also control you, and they admit it. And then the public's so weak-minded, they think I'm crazy. Because if they admit this is going on, then you're going to have to do something about it, folks. And I get it. I could go insert myself into the Matrix. Hell, I already do. I already sometimes get weak and go to a friend's house and watch a football game and get bombarded with TV and manipulation and brainwashing. And I want to be able to forget the brainwashing. I want to be able to have fun and be, but I can't do it, folks, because it's constant and it's total and it's my consciousness. I will not give up my consciousness. And by the way, I'm alive. I'm very happy. It is invigorating to be in the real world and to have these pressures on you and to know how real it is. That's what consciousness is. That's what our ancestors have gone through. And I said I'd take your phone calls. We've got the Malaysia airline mystery that could be one of several things that I'm going to be getting into, but I got to settle down and do that in the third hour after Dr. Stallman, top technology expert, leaves us. And I said I'd take your calls on just the Ukraine situation is escalating so horribly because there's a world economic meltdown happening. And they're going to start a big war when that happens to divert off of the fact that they're behind it. All over I mean, here's some Drudge headlines. City adds security checkpoints to all entryways, touts nonstop fiber optic video surveillance. That's what the Google thing is about. Police block highway lanes go car to car in search of bank robbers. Just everything's martial law. Lock everything down randomly. You know, half of Boston for one guy. Beach town bans smoking on boardwalk. Lady Gaga Foundation spends more on lawyers, consultants than on charity. Of course, all these rich people have charities to pay for their jets and everything, like Bill Clinton. And it just goes on and on from that point. I mean, we're just sitting here deciphering all this news, and it just goes on and on. Branson says global warming deniers, get out of our way. See, Satan tells us to get out of their way. They're the ones trying to corner our markets and control them and shut everybody off but themselves. And they're failing and losing at every level. Virgin Atlantic Airlines emitted 7.1 million metric tons of CO2. And they're only intensifying their fear-mongering, saying that Genghis Khan was able to conquer all before him because of climate change. And they're now saying, you know, that we're going to be flooded even faster, even though the ice caps are getting bigger. I mean, it's just all giant criminal hoaxes. The Dems declare war on weather. Meanwhile, Google, driverless cars, maybe environmental disaster. It's all just mafia telling you you're guilty, and you've got to pay them some indulgence if you want to be able to operate and live. Look at the Infowars.com articles. Obama Surgeon General pick. Guns are public health issues. See, England's about 2 steps ahead of us on this, or about 5 years ahead of us. Here's the article from yesterday. Doctors forced to become state snitches to spot radical parents, and the mayor of London has called for anyone who's a nationalist or conservative to have their children taken. This is mainstream news. And by the way, they are taking them. Visitors that come, especially from Eastern Europe, who have the babies they can sell for 300,000, 400,000 pounds, are having their kids taken at the airports for no reason. So there's now emergency advisories going out not to travel to England, because the CPS will grab your children at the airport. Or if you're seen yelling at your kids are gone. They'll be in a Saudi dungeon being gang raped pretty quickly. Now, continuing here, doctors forced to become, or they'll be with Savelle getting their throats slit with the prime ministers. Doctors forced to become state snitches to spot radical patients. And it goes on to radical, meaning anyone that disagrees with the government. So they're just government spies, and you're in a psych warfare meeting. Here's another one. This is in the U.S. Obama's Surgeon General pick. Guns are a public health issue. Murthy's organization calls for doctors to interrogate patients about guns in the home, including your children, and then, of course, call CPS on you, claiming that, oh, they're a doctor, they're a high priest wearing a white lab coat. You're the little lab rat, and so this is the guy he wants for attorney general. So, of course, this has been going on for a while, but that's what they're doing. By the way, here's that New York Times article. I didn't even know they'd been in the New York Times. I'd read it in AP. A new use for LEDs, mind control. Biological specific lights to make you restful, sleep better, and not be depressed. Yeah, and they're giving the troops shots that cure them of depression after 7-8 tours. The virus, the live virus, actually eats areas of the brain. It's designed to go into certain chemical areas that have certain receptor sites, and Dad comes home and he's not upset anymore. He just does whatever Mom tells him. She says, go get this groceries. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, these troops are now coming back, and believe me, they're not depressed anymore because they're not humans anymore. Oh, by the way, it came out about a month ago in Wired magazine. They're now admitting what I was already told years ago. They're brain chipping troops who sign waiver forms to not be depressed anymore. Guys, type in chips to help with PTSD. Or brain implants to help with PTSD. You know, I have a cousin who's just now got out of the military after 30 years. And last few years he was in secret operations in Mexico. And he says it's corrupt. He won't tell me everything about it. He says that's why he's getting out. And of course the State Department and Northcom run everything. But the point is that, oh yeah, there it is. We've got all the articles about brain chips. I don't know if that's the one about PTSD and brain chips. That's blast to the head, primed brains for PTSD study says, no, the exact headline to pull it up would be implants to help with PTSD in troops. And then it's articles about brain implants that shows a guy in the chair getting a brain implant and how easy it is. Just a small hole, and then there's no more pain. Brain implants. But this is about 8 years ago. He goes, I got to apologize to you. We were having a little family reunion. He goes, they called us in, the officers, and said, special forces are going to be getting chips, but you're not allowed to tell anybody. And it's going to start with the non-commissioned officers. And then next time I asked anybody, he says, I'm not allowed to talk about it. Well, see, I went on air and told everybody they're putting chips in people at that time. Now it's admitted. That's for their safety, of course. And Mexican police are getting them. And the Attorney General got them, I don't know, 10 years ago in Mexico for kidnapping or whatever. But if you have the chip in Miami, you get into the Baja Beach Club, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's so trendy. It's so cool. And that's all South by Southwest is a big exercise in how to be chipped and how wonderful it is and how fantastic it is and how super duper it is. And my point is, this is all just going on. They're now giving troops, quote, anti-stress vaccine that is a virus, I'm going to say this again, that literally goes into the area associated with spiritual experiences, euphoria, endorphins, creativity, higher brain waves, but also with depression, anger. Because you're supposed to be depressed and angry. You were used for 7-8 tours in a phony war to ship narcotics out of Afghanistan or whatever, when the government runs al-Qaeda openly. There it is. Pentagon wants to fit soldiers with a little box brain implant. Yeah, so it won't just be the depressed soldiers. It's going to be all the soldiers now. And you go see RoboCop, and it prepares you for that. What's wrong with the brain implant, boys and girls? 30 years ago, they were remote controlling cockroaches with a chip on their head. It was a larger chip back then. It was a wafer, I guess about 1/4 of an inch square, right on its head with a little antenna. They had robo-rats 30 years ago. The globalists have controlled the mainstream media for a long time, but now they're expanding, making the weaponization even more vicious and deceptive. All the major networks are state-run.
We are partnering this year with the NFL.
The NFL has become a political weapon against the Second Amendment and pushes Obamacare. MSNBC tells us that our children belong to the state.
We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
The brainwashing media machine has been turned up on high, and it's time for humanity to double down on the true people's media and strike back against the tyrants that are destroying our civilization with their lies and fraud. We are the resistance. You are the resistance. You are the info war. It is more important than ever to realize that we are not the alternative media. We are the true media. The establishment dinosaur press is dying.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
Join us at InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. Members can share their memberships with up to 11 people. By subscribing, you will literally be buying war bonds in the info war to expand our operation in the face of the tyrants. Join us at PrisonPlanet.tv. If you go to InfoWars.com, it's back to the top of the page. Armed Texans to march at South by Southwest. Bloomberg, the World Bank, sponsoring it, are here having anti-gun events to ban gun shows, private transfer of firearms, and, of course, their open goal to then finally register all guns and confiscate them, as they've done in their command base in New York City, the globalist stronghold, the UN base. So there's going to be an armed march starting tomorrow, and then the big one is going to be on Saturday. Maps, details, Jakari Jackson's report. It's all up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. In fact, guys, will you retweet it out and say, Texans to march against Bloomberg's anti-gun tyranny? Or armed Texans to march against Bloomberg's victim disarmament? Something like that. Send it out with the article, please, at Real Alex Jones. Retweet it, everybody, because Jakari and Leanne McAdoo are going to be down there tomorrow at the start of the armed march, and this is impromptu, to kickstart the big one on Saturday. But I guess there's going to be 30, 40 people already that are saying they're going to show up with their firearms. And we've done this a lot. We did it at the Alamo, even though they said it was illegal in San Antonio. No, it's not. We have the state law on our side. We marched with the land commissioner armed. And we defeated the enemy by exercising our rights. We went and voted. We went and ate at the lunch counter. We sat at the front of the bus, and you can just go straight to hell if you don't like it. Anyways, hardcore human rights, God-given rights, true civil rights movement, true liberalism in Thomas Jefferson vein of guns and property and family and consciousness and free association tomorrow with Jacardi Jackson, Leanne McAdoo, and the Patriots are going to be marching. I'm so excited. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I think I may go down there the more I think about it. Maybe I'm going to arm march with my M4. Maybe my 308 Reaper. Maybe I should march. That'd be a good workout with my Barrett 50 caliber. See how everybody likes that. Just in their face, freak out all the trendies. Show them what real liberalism is. Liberalism is not just the government has guns. I have guns. And look, nobody's getting hurt. And the criminals are scared. And police chiefs and the head of Interpol are saying, arm the citizens. It's true. Freedom. A lot of people in the system want freedom, folks, but we have to be the leaders. Let's go to Jacardi Jackson's report. Get this video report and text report with the maps, everything. Get it out to everybody. And if you are in Central Texas, I want to see your butt down there at noon tomorrow. We're going to march down Congress from by the Capitol. Don't go on the Capitol because they'll claim some weird law about that and come after you. But the Austin police, Arde Soveda, his lordship, has said he will not go after anybody that is openly carrying unless they're rudely displaying. And that means have it pointed at the ground on your back, aimed down, because that is a law. And it's common law. You don't pull your sword out and wave it around at people. If a cop pulled his gun out and waved it around, he'd go to jail. If he did it randomly, at least he should in the real world. So, obviously good etiquette with everybody. But we're going to be marching. And Arde Soveda is, unless he gets orders from Bloomberg, he has said that he will abide by the Second Amendment. Because open carry does it all the time, and Austin has no problem. It's the state police that say, we don't care. We've been ordered by the feds who we serve.
South by Southwest. The international festival showcasing advances in technology and new talent is dragging us backwards in the ways of our civil liberties by promoting the likes of Michael Bloomberg and his Mayors Against Illegal Guns, and also Shannon Watts, the former Monsanto executive, and her Moms Demand Action. Both groups were on hand the opening weekend of the festival to push their anti-gun agenda. During the event, the speakers boasted about their ability to take over sites such as Facebook, their success in placing gun chatter in the same category as porn. And as people have pointed out in the past, sometimes your presence on social media is more important to your campaign than how much money you can raise. And while some may attack our rights from the shadows, we exercise our rights in broad daylight. That's why this Wednesday, March 12th, armed activists will be marching through South by Southwest in defense of our civil liberties. And will be broadcast live on the Alex Jones radio show at 12 p.m. Central, and will set the stage for an even larger open carry event March 15th, that's a Saturday, where liberty-loving people will gather together to peacefully show their Second Amendment rights to an international community. Join us this Wednesday and Saturday at locations to be announced soon as we continue to bring the message of liberty and freedom to downtown Austin, Texas.
Turning our guns in, and we're not running, and we're not backing down. If you want them, come and take them.
You are watching the best of the Alex Jones Show, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. Watch live at Infowars.com/show or become a member of InfoWarsNews.com and help us take resistance to the next level.